Again, I think information medically is important right now because we don't trust Dr. Fiorucci. We need a hood one. And I wanted to make sure that I have that medical voice, especially from someone with color. And I think it's dope. And I just see how diabetes is affecting everybody, but we're doers. So I just wanted to stimulate that conversation. Now, I'm not going to be rude. I'm going to just jump off and introduce for the Calvin Klein thing, and I'm going to jump back on, but I wanted to start the conversation. I'm really sorry, but let me just do that. But y'all started. Let me just go and say what's up to them. And I'm back. 5 seconds. I promise.
Go ahead.
Bishop, run the show, Bishop.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet
You say
everyone.
Bishop run the show.
Very nice to meet everyone.
Okay, can I get on right there?
Yeah, you're good.
All right, you got them muted? Okay.
You on mute, Bishop.
Hey, hello?
muted.
Y'all can hear me? You can turn mine up. Hey, can I just say something real quick? I played myself and double zoomed. So I don't know how I'll be doing this. But I see Calvin's here, and I wanted to make sure I said this before we introduced the movie or the show. I don't believe in glorifying anything. I believe we survive things so others can learn from it. And when I met Calvin, it was through a completely different circumstances. We have people in common, but our stories are very similar. Not me and his story, but the people that we know and that we identify with. But he's been through it for real. And he's a person that's been glorified in records, and a lot of kids want to be him. And I wanted y'all to be able to talk directly to him about what it's like to be him. And I just thought that having him in a room filled with really smart people, it would definitely give you the credibility for your kids to say, look, I spoke directly to Calvin Klein, and he told me exactly what it is. And we have a new creative way of storytelling and making sure that people don't glorify the wrong things, that we learn from these experiences. And I just wanted to make sure that you guys had a voice in this. I wanted to show it to you. I wanted y'all to be able to talk directly to Calvin. And that's why I thought it was important that we did this screening, and I appreciate everybody showing up. And that's all I wanted to say. And I love y'all.
Good. Love you too, Dane.
Thank you for inviting us, James. Thank you for thinking of us.
Absolutely.
Hey, Calvin.
Okay, so you can put
So, Cal. So, in the room, you got some of the smartest people in the world.
Okay, let me look at it.
We're just gonna start us into conversation, Mr. Dash. Or did you wanna?
Well, the way I wanted to do it was me as a diabetic, and we have a CEO as a diabetic as well. It's to me, it's the time to make sure that we know that being healthy right now is important. See, diabetes is a slow killer, and some people don't think they have to deal with it till later. But right now, if you're not up to speed, you could die tomorrow. You know, you're more susceptible to infection. And, you know, he's very innovative the way he puts things out. We have a doctor. I just wanted to stimulate the conversation of health, what we could do in these times, how we can bring awareness to it, and, you know, just generally talking about our experiences. And I just think he's important and I'm important as diabetics. And also the doc is diabetic too. I forgot. We all diabetic. He's diabetic too. So just showing powerful diabetics that can make moves during diabetes, and then the questions that come with. I have questions as a diabetic, you know, and I just wanted to start that platform because it's just important. There's a lot of diabetics out there, and showcase real diabetics that are doing things, to be honest. So that's how. So, Doc, why don't you lead this, because this is more of a medical thing. Tell us about your experience, and we can go from there.
I'm happy to, Mr. Dash. I appreciate you bringing us all together. And Dr. Chris was about to, I'm sure, touch on some of these points. So, you know, I'm right here in Newark just to introduce myself to folks. I'm the CEO of University Hospital in Newark, largest public hospital in the region. We serve about 75% of the residents here, including, folks who are the most vulnerable communities in the city. And most of our patients are Black and brown. Most of our employees are Black and brown, including the doctors and the nurses and the folks who see the patients. And so this is our community. We are seeing now, and this ties into diabetes, but I think it's even broader than that. We're seeing some really concerning things in the community. So we have all the ambulances in the city. We have the EMS services. Compared to last year, the month of April, this April, we saw 4 times the number of people dead on arrival with the ambulances. And these are people who may have had chest pain, severe belly pain, like a surgical emergency type of picture, heart attacks, strokes, who likely just didn't show up because they were afraid. They were afraid of the virus. They're afraid of getting it from the hospital, when in reality, the hospital was actually a pretty safe place to go, starting at least towards the end of April, when we really were able to separate patients, and our emergency room became much more open, and we made sure all of our spaces were clean. I mean, the tragedy is, though, fear is making people stay at home with severe chest pain. And, there are probably folks with diabetes who otherwise would have come to the hospital in DKA or severe emergency, who didn't do it because they're afraid. Our pediatric clinics are empty, and we're not the only ones, but we're the public hospital that's serving, the most vulnerable in the city. So Dr. Chris is leading the efforts at our hospital to really reach out to the community in a way that reaches people, right? So going into social media, I did a Facebook Live yesterday with the mayor of Newark, and then on our own as a hospital, to connect with people and say, look, if you're having some of these problems, it's safer for you to come and get care as opposed to sitting at home with these symptoms and potentially dying. And that's what we're seeing, right? And the other message is, we are keeping you safe, and we're able to do that. And, filming videos all over the hospital to show people how safe it is to be here. But I understand the fear. I mean, the fear of healthcare was well before, this whole thing hit. But now I worry that fear at baseline and the mistrust of healthcare at baseline in our city, combined with the fear of coronavirus, is going to cause some real permanent public health problems down the road, not just from this virus, but, from all sorts of things that people aren't getting care for. And with the brains in this meeting, can you help us come up with a communication strategy? Somebody with the voice of Mr. Dash, or so many of you, will reach people. People will listen. People know who you are. People know who you've represented in the past and the work that you've done. Jeff, what an amazing company, right? Like, that perch that has helped so many people could help. So I'm humbly just asking for people's help to get that message out here. If you have ideas for, how people listen, especially vulnerable communities that we serve, I'm all ears for that, and I'm ready to work with you.
And also, I wanted to say that just out of conversation with the senator, he went and got a bill passed where, insurance is capped at like $35 and prescriptions are free in Indiana. And that's why I thought if he can hear any concern that we have or anything that we can change things, he can do something in Indiana that could set the pace for the rest of the country. You know what I mean? And that's the whole purpose of this. So I just wanted to say that as well.
You're spot on. You spot on, and I didn't want to go out of sequence, but everything that you mentioned, I'm seeing it right now in Gary, right? So Gary is 90% African American community.
So are we going to do a screening?
I've been in conversations every single day with our local hospital
talk to the host right now.
But the unique thing with our hospital is that the owner of the Methodist Hospital in Northwest Indiana had to create another hospital at the opposite end of town, which was in Maryville, which was the suburb.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying, this is a powerful opportunity to connect the world. And so, if there's something yep, that's what I wanted to get out of this. Maybe hold on to it.
I want to hear him
but keep it in your mind, so when we connect,
right?
then you can.
So now what we're starting to see that COVID-19 is.
Hey,
I'm gonna be quiet if they keep laughing at me.
just curious, are y'all gonna screen it? Are y'all gonna show the move? Are y'all gonna show it?
Hospital, when you hit something very important to pediatric, right?
Oh no, you got it. I thought you were showing. You got the Zoom. I thought you were showing it. No, you can show it from the screening. You want to put it on? You can show it from your thing the same way. Cause you got the Zoom. Okay, I'll show you right now.
had to go to Chicago.
It's on OG stories from the app. That's why I thought. My bad. Yeah. So you just play it there and it will play. You know how to do it?
Black, brown, and poor communities.
Can I tell them how to do it?
You just have to go to the website and share the screen.
If you just go to the website and share the screen, and then you play it from there. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm bugging.
Legislatively looking at in a variety of issues. Ultimately, what I'm trying to get at, the vision that I seen as you were talking, is from a policy perspective, how do we align with other leaders and other parts of the country to say we can't just talk about these issues as something that addressed or didn't get addressed, and now it's the impact.
People respect what you inspect. That's
People with COVID-19. In Indiana, minorities, blacks are 9.8% of the Indiana population. We're 20% of cases.
You're muted on both.
In the state. So when our health commissioner talks about, well, we don't want to drill the data down because we're concerned that it's going to expose the identity of folks in particular communities. No, we need to know it so we know where to invest the resources as a state. So, but it would be helpful if there was a national model that we can say this is how we address this throughout our communities that have been historically impacted or disproportionately impacted from a historical perspective, from a health perspective. So you guys got me excited because this is something I can see that can really take shape and move into some momentum.
Definitely. On the side around the health equity issue, right? So what I have been saying and describing to people,
You're muted on both.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't know if you know listening.
What we have seen the coronavirus do is to condense decades, hundreds of years of the impact of the legacy of slavery and structural racism contributing to underlying medical conditions across the Black and brown population in 2 months, right? And so we've seen in 2 months, COVID laid squarely on the shoulders of Black and brown communities because of vulnerabilities associated with these underlying medical conditions, because of vulnerabilities associated around the structural determinants of health, the types of neighborhoods that they live in, they live in crowded residential spaces, because of their economic vulnerability, they work jobs that are likely able to telework, or they're economically vulnerable and they cannot stay home from work. So we saw that at warp speed when down, or as a good friend Ryan Hager says, where there have been fissures in society where COVID showed us were actually earthquakes in the Black and brown community. So I don't think we can wait for the national model. We're going to have to do hyper-local, local, and state examples of what we can do differently to inform a national model, right? So what we're doing here at University Hospital, as you heard Dr. Elnahal say, is we serve Safety Net Hospital in Newark, New Jersey, right? So we serve primarily the Black and brown community in Newark and surrounding cities, in addition to being an academic medical institution. So we already know disproportionately our patients have the high blood pressure, have the diabetes, have the CHF, have the COPD, have the asthma, and those persons are also at risk for the virus. So we see the disproportionate mortality, we see the disproportionate infections. So what can we do as a healthcare system around our population health strategies? And part of that is the messaging. How can we get word out to these communities? And we have to be more creative and innovative. We have to use virtual audiences. We have to use online audiences. And what collaborative partnerships or alliances can we form to get the word out? So like as Dr. Elnahal was saying, right now we're shouting from the rooftop, if you are sick, come to the hospital, right? Because we're finding that people are staying home, they're delaying care. And so how do we get them to trust? So it's like building cultural relevance, building cultural fluency, and that cultural relevance and fluency giving us a trustworthy message and trustworthy messengers so that communities can be whole and well. So we're also thinking about telemonitoring, in-home monitoring. What can we put in the homes of patients, right? So that they can have ways to manage these chronic conditions. So I think across the array of people who are gathered here today, we can begin to really shape this conversation And we can look at one population in particular, diabetes, and we can caveat that in what we see as an urgent and compelling need is to get people back into safety.
Well, the reason why I wanted Jeff is because he has an incredible way of tracking the diabetes, like, you know, your whole system, and, you know, exactly what you're doing is going to actually need to happen for this COVID thing. Can you explain a little about the way you do your thing in your whole company? What makes this different? I know it makes it different. It looks cool and it doesn't hurt, Jeff, but there's some other things that make it different. And I'd like you to explain it. And I just think these things could be implemented because you're a really smart dude, bro.
Well, you know, I'm humbled to be here, but with you all, and it's just, I'm leaping out of my chair a little bit, you know, trying to, you know, with ideas that are going through my head right away. So, you know, I appreciate everyone's comments so far, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here. Thank you. You know, we all know that, you know, healthcare today, and I don't mean to be pejorative here, but is largely a sick care system. It's not a health care system. It's not designed to deliver health. It's designed to treat the symptoms of sickness. And whether it's primary care, acute care, or emergency care, we have some of the best versions of that in the world. But when you start digging into chronic care, things like diabetes and cardiovascular disease and kidney disease and hypertension and obesity, conditions that affect more than 50% of our population and disproportionately affect, you know, certain, you know, populations in this country that are severely disadvantaged. You've got a huge problem associated with the way the current system is set up to not deliver health and to do a bad job at delivering care for chronic conditions. And yet chronic conditions make up 4/5, 80% of the money we spend in our $3.5 trillion healthcare economy in the US. So it's a huge amount of money getting spent towards something that's not delivering a lot of value. And so, you know, we've taken the idea that I can put affordable, effective, and accessible care onto mobile phones, that people can access the 8,759 hours a year that they're not at the doctor's office. People aren't going out of their way to get to the doctor. They're not going out of their way to get to the hospital or to the clinic, or they're not going out of their way to contact their insurer or Medicare or Medicaid because it's a pain in the ass. But when they're carrying around a phone every single day, every hour of the day, everywhere they go, you have an opportunity to reach people where they are, not where you're asking them to go, not where you're asking them to take off work and get in a cab, not where you're asking them to find a bus to get to where they got to go. They get their care right here on the phone. And so if we're not looking at ways to revolutionize healthcare rather than try to evolve it incrementally, if we're not looking at ways to hammer home telehealth, hammer home remote monitoring, hammer home virtual care, then we're missing the boat. Because this is the path to getting people access, affordability, and effective modes of care. Now, my company happens to do this. Now, I'm talking my own book, but we believe that empowering people with the right data and information, and taking that data information and turning it into actionable insights each and every day that deliver adaptive support to them in the moment that they need it, versus when they make an appointment and finally get into the doctor. We believe we can transform healthcare. And if we can transform healthcare, we can transform lives, because we're empowering people with that education and information, but we're empowering them with confidence that they can make decisions about their own self-care, that they can make decisions about food and about exercise and about medication that they're taking to manage their own care. And that if we give them back that confidence, and if we give them that empowerment, we give them back time. And if they have time, they can invest that time in their families. They can invest that time in their education. They can invest that time in pursuing the blessings and the opportunities that life has to offer us each and every day, if you're only there, willing and able to accept them. And when you're dealing with chronic conditions, and when you're struggling to get to the doctor and find cab fare and get on a bus and call Medicare and all the shit that goes into healthcare today, you're not able to be present for the blessings that are right here. You're busy trying to manage something that doesn't have anything to do with your healthcare. And so what this thing does, and if we can create a revolution in telehealth, remote monitoring, and virtual care for chronic conditions, we can empower people to take back their presence in their lives, to take back the blessings that are provided to them every day, and give them the opportunity to feel confident and empowered in managing these chronic conditions. And then, when they go to the doctor once a year or twice a year or once a quarter or every month or whenever they get there, they're coming in hot. They're coming in with empowered with education and information and knowing more about their bodies. And so, my company, we make some good products. We make some great digital products on phones. We really help people become more empowered. You don't want to carry around a garage door opener for a glucose meter. You want to have something that's badass that you feel great about and that makes you feel better. But that's not just what we do. We don't just make a glucose meter. I know Dame likes our glucose meter. But we power our platform with data-driven insights that help people make better choices day in and day out. I can predict your blood glucose values in the future, which means that you can avoid problems before they even occur. And if you can avoid problems before they occur, you don't need to get to the doctor. You've already solved the problem. So if I can predict your blood pressure or your weight or give you a health score each and every day to let you know where you are on track on your health journey, you can make better choices. When we give you insights on what foods to eat, when we give you insights on when to take your meds or when to go for a walk, and the result of that is improving your score or reducing the collisions that eventually occur with people that are not on track. We're empowering people to stay out of trouble, not treating the symptoms of the trouble that they get in when they go to the doctor. And this is the path. We're not going to get at it through the sick care system. You're going to have to get at it through digital, effective, efficient, affordable means that happen on mobile phones that everybody's carrying around with them every day. That's just a set of thoughts. That speaks to so much of what we're trying to do here in Newark, as Chris was mentioning. I mean, we're really trying to start solving the actual problem for people instead of, for example, treating someone's pneumonia, they're homeless, and then sending them back out to the streets in the cold where they got pneumonia in the first place, and then they get it again, and then there's this churn. We keep getting paid for it, but we're not helping the person, right? And, Senator, when you were talking, it's almost like you were telling the story of our hospital. I mean, our hospital went through all this drama with it, tried to close pediatrics, and we did not close pediatrics throughout this crisis, even though I was pressured to do so. But, these are the pressures that urban and, safety net hospitals that serve vulnerable communities are facing throughout the country. And, the message can be a single one that folks use, which is that, look, you're already disproportionately seeing Black and brown people get hit hardest by this virus. Don't make it worse by denying yourself care because you're afraid, right? That's the wrong thing, because you're going to suffer from that. It's you and your families and your communities. If you're not getting your care, even if it's through telehealth or some way of connecting with your doctor, if you're not doing that, then you're going to make the problem even worse. And, you're right to demand data by race, zip code. That should be doable. I mean, when I was commissioner in New Jersey, I did that. We released information about health disparities and blasted it out on maternal health outcomes. And I wasn't very popular for doing that among hospitals, but you have to do it. You have to start the conversation. Otherwise, nothing's going to come out of it. You're not going to make progress. So I just think if we work together on messaging around, telling people, look, this has already hit you the hardest, get care. We're here for you. Like we have solutions for you. And those solutions can be an emergency room, like what we offer, or they can be what Jeff offers, right? But let's start. Let's restart getting your care again and actually making sure that we don't slip even further, because the outcomes are already really bad.
Can I ask a quick question? So based on
Wait.
You're on mute.
based on what Jeff was saying, right? Like, I know personally, I'd rather go to a doctor. Like, when I'm sick or I don't feel well, which is rare, I go on the phone to the doctor, right? What's that called?
Yeah, doctor.com.
We go to doctor.com. So we see the doctor, and then my glucose meter tells me, where my A1 is daily. It's almost like if you could look at your credit every day, or how much money's in your bank account daily. You know what I mean? And I think what he's saying, if there's a way that, because there's patterns that could project things, that could say, yo, don't eat that right now, and could check in on you and say, it becomes a lifestyle of not coming in when you're sick, but keeping you out the hospital to keep you healthy. How can a hospital implement that kind of system? And Jeff, is there a way you can help implement what you're saying for everything as opposed to just diabetes?
Yeah, our system is now set up to do hypertension, hyperlipidemia, weight loss, and prediabetes, and we're moving into a variety of other conditions with our partner Bayer. Our goal is to make sure that when somebody does go to the hospital, that they're not taxing the system for something that they could have avoided, or that they're utilizing the services of a hospital for the reasons why hospitals exist. Hospitals aren't designed to treat chronic care. Hospitals aren't designed to help people manage chronic conditions day in and day out. And yet, people are going into the hospital because they're not managing those conditions and then seeing sort of the adverse results of that. So our goal is to help keep people out of the hospital.
I guess what I'm saying is, if you had access to a hospital to use as your, like, if I could use my system with a hospital,
He's muted.
could you implement that?
No, he's not.
Could you guys work together to showcase something as a progressive hospital working with technology and be forward thinking? And then the senator go say, yo, this is the better way and we need to pay for this,
If I can weigh in, because that's what we're exactly looking to do with our population health strategies, right? So as I was saying before, if you look in population health, if you look at a population, you want to risk stratify, right? Those the lower risk, medium risk, and high risk. Our high risk are people who are sitting at home with emergent conditions, symptoms of heart attacks, strokes, belly pain, things that they need to get to the hospital emergency room for now. Our medium and even low risk people are either people who have chronic conditions that they need to better manage and prevent from worsening into worse states of disease, or they are well and they're in a pre-disease state. And we can use in-home monitoring, we can use telemedicine, we can use digital medicine to help people stay well, and for those who are sick, not to allow them to progress to worse states of disease. We are seeking to do that now. That's what we need to take advantage of. Otherwise, COVID is not only going to have a direct impact on Black and brown communities, it's going to come back around again, an indirect impact because people won't seek care, and it's going to potentially come back around again in the fall. So it's going to decimate Black and brown communities.
That said, I have a question. Well, there's two main issues that are coming up. One is trust, and the other is affordability. Within our communities, there's always been an issue of trust, whether it's doctors, police, or people in authority. There's always a trust issue. And then once you deal with the trust issue, you're dealing with, well, can I afford this? Can I afford this medically? So with that being said, when we talk about new forms of innovation, when we talk about these things, how will it be paid for?
Taxpayers. It's like, for me, that go to the senator, go to the senator, go to the senator.
I think that's what we wrestle with every day in a lot of states. I know on the federal level, that's what they look at from a healthcare perspective. I think not to get into any political type of debates, you have folks that believe from the universal healthcare perspective, right? So
I'm definitely for universal health care because, of course, in a pandemic, we need that.
yeah,
The problem that we're facing is that our tax base is that issue of affordability. And in so many times in what people would assume, they would assume, oh, someone is going to go to the hospital because the state's going to pay for it. That's usually not how the average person thinks. The average person thinks, how much is this going to cost me? Am I going to, because is to look on my phone, you know, see what my blood pressure is and everything else. I mean, that's great because my sister's a doctor, but so often we don't call on doctors unless we believe there's something wrong. And through the technology,
are there any genres that'll push back on telehealth? The only reason why I asked that because our previous session, the optical side of telehealth was up for discussion in terms of eye doctors, and eye doctors some of them were in opposition of expanding the optical checkups because they said we need to see them in the office. Are there any groups that push back from that? Are there any old school doctors that say we don't support that? I'm just curious.
Tons.
Yes, there's definitely, others can weigh in too. There's definitely reticence across the medical community around certain patients, but I can tell you what happened because of COVID. When you can't see your patient.
Thank y'all. I'm turning it over to you. Then you and Calvin take it from here. Well, I'm gonna really put it to Calvin. You know, all I was a person that made this. I got to have good conversations with Calvin. We literally spoke. That was like our first 15 minutes of conversation when he first walked in. We didn't have the intention of shooting anything. We were coming to talk, you know, and he had a plan, but we were like, yo, we could just do this real fast, and we did it. But, you know, my thing is for Calvin to have the platform for everyone to ask him any question that they want, and then after, just ask me if you have any questions about how I did it. But it's really more about, it's not so often you have access to this person that's in songs, that's a legend, and by maybe for the wrong reasons, but we want to now make him a legend for the right reasons. So utilize that. You know, teach your kids with what you learned from him, and that's the purpose of this. So I'm gonna leave the floor with Calvin, and y'all just get right at him, because I know y'all got questions for him.
First question, is this a part? Is there gonna be a part 2?
Oh, I have like 6 parts for Calvin.
To Calvin's story?
Yes.
Part 1. So part 1 was like laying the background. This is what I went through, and so now that they're knowing that there's different parts, I'm also thinking, how does it go through the series? So like part 2, part 3, and then part 6, is it saying these are the dreams? This is how you get out. This is how you make a different choice.
Well, you know, he has a lot of different stories, and initially this was meant to be on the We channel. And being that I put a lawsuit on them and they were playing games and they didn't think I could deliver, you know, I was able to put it out myself. So the story that We channel wanted was the one that with the Jay-Z and all that. But I mean, the stories that he has, it's like he just tells every story. He has the inside skinny on every legendary story from that era because he was there. And he starts telling me about stories, and then it came out that he was best friends with my OG Daniel. You know what I mean? And it just made a lot of clarity about Jay-Z for me. It's just a lot of things talking to him. I don't really have a particular order. It's just we're just doing it creatively. You know what I mean? It's different. So he almost was like the reason why I did his story first was simply because he showed up first. So I called everybody I know, like, yo, the opportunity is now, come through. And he showed up first. So we talked and so many things happened. Even there was a lot of, I'm talking about, and I don't want to bring it up too much, but I also caught a lot of heat in the street because he's from Brooklyn and other things that were unclear. So, you know, it was a whole thing. It was a lifestyle for about a week. Let me just tell you that. So basically, I got a crib for I had a crib. Calvin, you know, first he stayed, but then I had another crib. Then he ended up staying with Oshino, some more OGs. It just a lot happened. So it's I don't know where this is gonna go. But also the footage that we used was Calvin's. He had already made the movie. So the Jay-Z lookalike and all of that, he had a movie and I just used his footage. So we brought equal to the table. Like we're partners in this.
So Dame and Calvin, so quick question about that. So I think, you know, just piggybacking on what Anissa was just saying, you know, obviously as people who are in the lives of children every day, there's always got to be a message behind it, right? And because it's broken up into parts like that, you may not see it in the first one, but somewhere in it, will there be a message? And I guess I can turn it over to Calvin. It's like, what's the message that you want delivered to young people who are seeing this video or seeing these series of videos when it's on social media?
Well, if I could interject, then it's you have to show the transition from the streets to being Akon's manager and the successes that you had there. I'm a professor, but for the principals to share with the students, you got to show the transition. And so if you don't have a transition, it's good. I like it. You know, I'm a street nigga. It's good, but for kids, you got to transition.
Yeah, I would definitely build on what he just said. Just thinking about the power of a conversation. Like, how did you land that conversation with Akon? Like, what did you say to him, or what was said about you that made someone take a chance on you? It just sounds like someone's taking a chance on you, and I'm connecting it to like something that could be coherent. Like, what is a consistent theme that kind of connects those 6 stories? So that might be one of the questions that he said. Something like throughout the 6, what is that common connection? I'm intrigued. Like he said, like Akon took a chance on you, and he wasn't even. Sometimes when some things happen that you don't even expect to even, but being in a situation where you are, like it was the right time, it was the right moment. But how did you plan that conversation? What did you say to him? And how do we? So now, what do I need to say to someone who I might not know might be my next blessing? So how can I position myself?
Now, let him answer it. Let him answer it. Let him answer it. Let him answer it.
Well, when I was locked up, I didn't get it in the beginning. And I got locked up in 1991 when I had gotten 25 years. I didn't get it at all. Once I got my sentence, I went to my destination, which was Indiana, Terry Hut, and I resumed back to selling drugs while in jail. I didn't sell drugs in the streets.
Partner in their own health.
And that was my comfort zone.
It's rising up to become an empowered participant in your own health that's kind of missing from the healthcare system.
I was okay because I was still doing the same things that I was.
It's missing in exercise and in medication choices. It's missing from the dialogue that needs to be there for people to be successful. Because if they keep going to the patriarchal health system and expecting to get fixed with a chronic condition, it's not happening. We're going to keep being people with diabetes. We're going to keep being people with hypertension and high cholesterol and all the other things. And unless we're engaged in the solution as individuals and empowered to do so, we're going to fail every time. And it's going to be expensive. It's going to be repetitive. It's going to continue to suck the economy dry. Diabetes is a pandemic today in society. It's going to continue to be a huge problem. We can't rely on the doctor to solve the problem here. They can't. No offense to doctors here. I think I'm probably.
We get that.
Yeah.
We get that.
We need to be partners, empowered partners in our own care. And so the hurdle is to getting technology in the hands of people, getting the right information and education in the hands of people, giving them sensors so they can make better choices and be aware of what's going on, and adopting that technology as fast as possible. On that note, Unfortunately, I have to get off the phone. I really appreciate everyone's call today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for the time. I'm available. I'll find you guys.
Thank you.
Dave knows where I'm at.
No, definitely.
I'm 43.
Right.
Nice.
I appreciate you,
Thanks,
bro.
guys.
Let's continue the conversation. And I think it's powerful. Everyone that was on this, I mean, I would like to do this with an audience. I mean, I was on the live, but I'd like to do it with an audience, and I'd like to hear what people have to say. But first, I wanted us to talk. If it was possible to do this again next week and invite people, so everyone can invite people and we can stimulate the same kind of conversation. But I think it was very impactful, and I appreciate everybody. And I think I love this. This is great. I love this conversation, and I also learned a lot from it. So I appreciate all of y'all and the questions and everything. So individually, I would like to talk separately about all of this, and then together I'd like to talk again because I got ideas galore. Ideas galore. But it's definitely powerful.
That's what we want to hear.
Powerful.
All right.
All right, y'all.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Dash, take care.
My man.
Goodbye.
All right.
Take care, guys.
I get my full attention.
It was somewhat kind of an easier transition to say that, okay, I'm not coming out here to sell drugs. I'm gonna come out here and see what opportunities that I have. Because my last 4 years of doing my time, a gentleman named DJ Clark Kent, he was more or less my mentor. I used to call him almost every day and talk to him about what I should be expecting when I get home. And he just gave it to me. Excuse me?
I have to mute something. It's an echo.
Oh, I thought somebody said something. DJ Clark Kent was the one who was kind of like making me aware of what was to be expected of when I came home. And when I got home, it was just like, you know, once the red carpet got rolled out, I knew how to speak for myself very well in terms of when I got the first conversation with Jay-Z, when I was in the halfway house, Jay-Z's first question was, what do you want to do? You know what I mean? Like, you know, that you home after all this time, but what do you want to do? Like, I can put you in a position and give you a million things to do, but what do you want to do? You know what I mean? And then we just started having conversation and having dialogue about stuff like that, about what I wanted to do. And then it was just a fortunate situation that Akon's cousin was in the same halfway house that I was in. He wound up knowing who I was. And then when I came out and started talking to him, we established a relationship and started having a conversation from there. We exchanged information. After that, we stayed in contact, like I said. And then after that, then it was, you know, I had an opportunity to either go work with Jay or I had an opportunity to go work with Khan. And, you know, things just fell where I just started doing work to manage Akon. And, you know, I just started traveling all over the place.
Hey, I want to step in for a second. I want to say, first of all, as a man of a certain age that grew up in Brownsville in this era that, you know, we knew of Calvin Klein with absolute respect to him and his journey. And there were many Calvin Kleins in that era. You know what I'm saying? So let me just say this to y'all. What I believe you're going to get out of this, because you're dealing with the offspring of that era, like right now. Not even just the first generation, the second generation of that era. And the fact that these stories can be told is actually a tool for you guys to understand the essence of what is in their DNA now. Because you understand, their fathers and grandfathers wanted to be him. They wanted to be him. You know what I'm saying? Which kind of tells you the limitations of what we are as a human being, because at the end of the day, his journey was abrupted by his time in prison to where he can actually say, you know what? I wanted to change my life and change my ways. So salute to that, brother, because that is an amazing story. And there are more stories like this. And Dame, I hope that you continue this. I'm going to bring you some more stories as well, but I hope you continue this because there's so much power in this. And all due respect to Jay-Z, you know, I know Jay-Z since, you know, the early, mid 80s, you know what I'm saying? Actually, that's my second cousin. Nobody really knows that. But I know him from them eras. At the end of the day, these stories can tell you about the development of what we do. I mean, I travel the world and the world watches these stories. This is food for them. the fact that Damon can give you these foods, but it also is a tool for you principals to use so you can understand the mentality of your children, because they are growing up in this. And if you can understand that, and I ain't gonna say no more, if he's giving you, bearing his soul and telling you that, man, yo, I applaud you, brother. Thank you so much.
And Calvin,
so much, brother.
Calvin, Principal DeForge she wanted to holler at you. She just texted me and said she wanted to say something. Marie?
Okay.
Yeah, well, first of all, let me just preface by saying this is my second cup of Bailey's, so if I don't sound too articulate, forgive me. But I wanted to commend you. And I texted him and I said, you're amazing, and your story is amazing. And, some of what I heard from that narrative was perseverance, strength, loyalty, spirituality, understanding, forgiveness, overcoming, hope, success, intelligence. Like, that's all the characteristics that I heard you bring to the table in terms of your development and your trajectory in your life. And I just want to say that I don't understand the life because I wasn't exposed to it, but these are the children who I teach on a daily basis. And I think your story can be an access point for them, where they can know that the streets is not their only option, right? And they can know about the characteristics it takes to become a man such like yourself. So I commend you and I thank you. The only thing I would say in terms of the video is when we're streamlining the video, how do we get that message out so they're not automatically glorifying the life, but they're understanding the man and what you went through to get to where you are.
Well, can I say something real quick?
And I appreciate you sharing your vulnerability.
Wait, guys.
I think you're amazing, and I thank you for that. Thank you.
I'd like to real quick.
I appreciate you too. Thank you.
Real quick. I'm on mute.
The only thing that I feel that's unfortunate,
Nicolette, I'm on mute.
In my audience, is that I have to glorify the story somewhat in order to capture
attention. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And that's a gift and a curse. But at the same time, I try to tell the kids that I'm not here to preach. I'm not the preacher man. I'm not the teacher man. I have a story, and I'm just here to tell my story and express my story with you. Here in New York, I was hopeful in my travels to have a conversation like this with professors and teachers. Because I go out as a motivated speaker as well. I'm bonded by the State Department of Education in New York. I have my vendor's quarters license and things of that nature. I have my New York City Calvin Baker Foundation and things like that. I go inside of the prisons and talk to them. I go to the schools and everything else though, but a lot of times when, my type of background, I don't have any people to help me do grants. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that I probably may say that I am actually missing is the support from the principals to have me go into schools, and also to be able to have someone as a grant writer to help me put my curriculums and things like that together, so I could be able to go be where did the turnaround come? The turnaround came when I got locked up for my last time. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why I was there. I couldn't fathom it in my mind at all. For what purpose of me being back in jail after turning around and doing the right things. You know what I mean? So once I lost everything and I wound up being broke, more or less to say, I had to kind of search into my own soul. And that's when I wrote my book, Neighborhoods Under Siege. And then I came home again and I released my book in 2014. And I never looked back after that. You know what I mean? Like I said, my life was full of mistakes. I made every mistake I could think possible. I hate when people say that they wouldn't change a thing because they wouldn't be who they are today. I think I would change almost everything, you know what I'm saying, except for my childhood when my parents was raising me, because I was born in a household with both parents. I was raised extremely well. I wasn't well off, but I was fortunate as a kid to have a lot of things that I wanted. So that's just where I'm at, man. I don't mind unveiling myself. You know what I mean? This is what the gangsters have a problem with. The gangsters want to always have you see them as a gangster. The gangsters always want you to see them tough. They always want you to see them up under the worst times and be able to show their strength. You know what I mean?
I'm a man, first and foremost. So that's my strength right there. You know, so I don't have anything to prove. I don't owe the streets anything, and the streets don't owe me anything. You know, so my truth is what it is. Whether you like it, you don't like it, whether you like me or you don't like me. I'm not here for you not to like me. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if I say that God got me, I believe that. I really believe that. I don't feel like I'm alone no more at times when I used to be in that cell and I put myself there. Because nobody else put me in that cell but myself. But then again, when you in that cell, you sit in that cell with a lot of hate, a lot of resentment, and you feel like it's everybody else's fault but your own. So I had to sit in my own faults, sit and accept my own mistakes, and embrace my own mistakes, and grow up and be a man. And that's what made me change.
Hey, Calvin, Dr. Small, Malik Small had a question for you right after that. Alika, you can jump in as well. Small?
Hey, how you doing, Calvin? First of all, I want to applaud you for the work that you've done, really to be reflective and to take your experience and use it as a tool to educate and to help other people. And a couple of points. One, you mentioned black men needing, the gangsters need to be seen. And I think that's very important because this country has made black men invisible. So, you know, we do need to be seen, and sometimes even negatively, we're looking to be recognized. But I also think just in terms of the film game, I think in any great stories require context. And I think a little bit of context just around how lawmakers, law enforcement, prosecutors, how they intentionally created the dynamic that limited the options of black men and caused black men to say, okay, let me take this and use this as a vehicle, because he wasn't necessarily a drug dealer, he was an entrepreneur. It just so happens that his product was illegal, right? And so really just adding a little bit of context around how so many black men, and I came up in Harlem, so I've always been very close to this, very close to music and how music and how the drug scene kind of intersected. But again, it was very intentional on a part of this country. The intentionality around how law enforcement, prosecutors, etc., created this dynamic and put us in a position where we saw this as one of our limited options. And so I think some of that context would really add to the story.
Can I answer that? I'm on? Y'all can hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Oh, okay. I love what he just said, the principal. And what I'd like you to do is to give me that very narration with that very voice so that I can show in the next episode that context as eloquently as that, but also I could put pictures there. You know what I mean? I like all of that.
Absolutely.
But I would love for that to come from a black principal's voice. And it would be interesting to do. So, you know, one of the things y'all keep asking me or asking him, how are you going to teach the kids? We not teachers, y'all went to school for that. So the reason why I brought Calvin is so that you cannot ask us how to teach the kids. I would like you to tell us how to teach the kids so it could reflect in my programming. They don't ask me, I don't know. I know how to make entertainment that influences the kids. But y'all know, you know, just based on patterns, what triggers these kids to do right and wrong. Teach us how to deliver this message based on these experiences the right way. And I will apply them. So give me some answers. When you ask,
how do you want that? Do you want us to email you, Dennis?
Yeah, so what we do, is, as soon as you jot down your information, what we'll do is I'll make sure to give him all the information in writing as soon as possible. But what I'm also asking people to do is put the information, put the questions and certain things in the chat, because I'm keeping track of that as well. So yeah, so just jot down all your information. I'll make sure to get the information.
Hey, Dennis, can I add a little bit to this? I would also think that would be great if they made a little video commentary and gave it to Dame so he can actually put it on his network by making a little video commentary.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Of their opinions and what they feel and anything they say, that they can edit it and put it as a part of the series.
No, let me just say this. As a filmmaker, I like the process. You know, I don't mind y'all sending it to me, but I also want the conversation. You know, like I like to hear the emotion. Like I like the way that principal talks, because he doesn't sound so much like a principal, but he sounds like a black man. You understand what I mean? That's a black man talking, and that's what I want. I want black men. So if somebody says, you know, yo, this was wrong for the kids, I'll be like, that was a black principal. How could it be wrong for the kids?
Exactly.
Hey, Game, I want to jump in. I want to help you a little bit. Hold on, Moody. Hold on a second, Moody. I'm gonna. I just want to just for the sake of order. I got in the chat. I got Thompson Young going first, and then Constant, and then Peter, and then Asia. Then we can jump on it. Do me a favor, just text me or put the information in the chat. But right now, I'm gonna ask Thompson Young, Constance, and then Peter, and then after Peter, we're gonna do Asia.
So, and part of the conversation you were talking about is how do we engage kids? And when I think about watching the film, I think about my students. I work with high school students in Cambria Heights, and from all walks of life. And the truth is, if the catalyst and the heart of the story is about hope, which is the thread through it, part of my idea was you flash back. So you tell your story like this is what you see, because a lot of times people see the glory, but they don't know the story behind it. And so if I can, as a kid, connect to, oh, you had to go through all of that to get here, but I'm engaged first and compelled by the initial part of the story, what I want. This is what I'm reaching for. And then it's like, oh, guess what I had to do to get here? I had to go through all of this. And part of what I hear in your story too is this whole notion of I had to use what I had, and I kept going back to my old habits, which we all can relate to, until something happened to me. And what happened, based on what I hear you saying, is you made a decision. Exactly. And lots of things in life lead us to that point where we make a decision. And so highlighting that decision and that change, and then that brought all of these other opportunities that may have been in the background, but because you hadn't changed your mind yet, were not afforded to you. So I think, you know, creating the story in a way that helps engage them in that way, maybe a flashback, maybe not. I'm not a creative person, but I think about my kids. I think about what they're interested in. I think about the relatability, because it's not just, there's, you know, the kids from the hood that reported, the kids who had two solid parents but just didn't have no money. There's a whole bunch of people that can relate to the story, because you're talking about an addiction and a belief about yourself and what you consider to be true in terms of your story, and how you then change based on that decision. And I think that's very powerful. And so I think if you, I don't know how you lead with it per se, but I think that's it's an integral part of it. And if you can help compel us with that, that's everybody. That's not just the kids. That's everybody.
The way I approach the subject matter with Calvin Klein is, Calvin Klein, to a lot of people, especially in, you know, this generation, Jay-Z was the most influential person of the generation, and Calvin Klein was the person that Jay-Z looked up to. You know, so the reason why the first episode was like that was so that everyone that doesn't care about Calvin Klein, that cares about Jay-Z, now cares about Calvin Klein. Now, once they have the attention of that, I felt that we did do a job of showing there was a little, I didn't even see too much glamour, because in the beginning he was coming home from jail. So he had just came home from beating bodies. He goes to a party, he gets into a fight. If you notice, I'm like, it doesn't sound like it's that much fun to be doing all of this. And he's like, it's not. He goes to jail. They show his mother crying. He comes home, goes to a halfway house, and then, you know, the rest is where he's at now. And him telling his story puts us in a position where it stimulates a conversation with intelligent people. You know what I mean? So in that first episode, it opens the door for a movie. It opens the door for him having a conversation with a bunch of principals. It opens the door for him to talk to bishops, senators, all about how to keep your kids out of jail. From a person that was your hero, for every kid that thinks they want to be a gangster. And you know, you can do but so many things in 20 minutes. You know what I mean? But you got to remember, you got 20 minutes. You have to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So when you tell all these things, you got to do them in a certain amount of time. You have to keep that person engaged. You have to keep things in order, and you have to tell a story in a certain amount of time. And those black parts were the commercials. That's why it was going, because that's where the commercials were supposed to play on We Channel. But I never got to fix it. I'm sorry for that. But I just wanted to put it in context for you. This is what, you know, how the ability you have and what you can do in 22 minutes. And you have to get a message out. And I felt like we did as much as we could, and we opened the doors to do the things we're doing now. And that's the purpose of it.
I think you did. I was just saying, as you were talking about next steps and embellishing the movie more, I just thought those are things to think about.
Oh yeah,
but
definitely.
That was evident, and in the conversation with you guys, you can hear more of that, and that's what I want to share.
Yeah, I didn't feel like you were questioning. I was saying I just wanted to tell y'all exactly what I was thinking. You know what I mean? I was like, as a filmmaker, you get to talk to me. So that was me as a filmmaker. You know.
Dad, Constance.
Hey, Calvin. Very fascinating, brother. You know, you're clearly very intelligent. And I think one of the things that is really important for the kids, there are certain attributes and character traits that you have that made you successful in your life as a drug dealer that I know you're applying, that have made you successful now doing something positive. So kind of connecting what those attributes are, because a lot of my kids, even, you know, I'm from South Carolina, but we have the same drama here as well. And I see leadership in them, and I'm constantly telling them, apply that to something positive. People listen to you, people follow you. Let's apply that to something positive.
Yes. I mean, I actually, like I said, I was in South Carolina as well. You know what I mean? I grew up in New York though, but my family's from Darlington. So, you know, and then when I came home, I went to the Fatherless Family Engagement Program to help the community out there. So my thing is, you know, I help destroy one community, so I'm out in South Carolina trying to help another. So it's not all about me just trying to help New York. I'm just trying to help any way that I can. I don't have all the answers. You know what I mean? You know, that's the reason why I'm blessed to be able to have the opportunity to be on Zoom with you guys and to be able to get the feedback from you guys and allow me to be able to come out of the quarantine that much more stronger than I came in. So, you know, as I'm always open, I'm available. I did so much damage in my past that, you know, I go through a lot of pain. I go through a lot of suffering. I go through a lot of hurt. And I get emotional a lot because of the pain that I caused, you know. And it's deep. You know, it's real deep. When I wrote my book, it was very therapeutic for me because I know what I put a lot of people through. I know a lot of damage that I caused unnecessarily just to try to live a lifestyle. You know, a lot of people suffered by my hands because of that lifestyle. And I just called it defending myself. But if I wouldn't have never gotten in the game, I wouldn't have had to defend myself. I would have been doing something else a whole lot more productive with my life and wouldn't have wasted all this time. You know, right now I feel like, you know, I set myself back so many years, you know, so many years that moving forward is extremely important to me. You know, and it's not about me. It's not about what I have or what I don't have, because I've had a lot. You know, I had millions of dollars throughout my career, my life, and my journey. You know, selling drugs and, you know, things like that. You know, I don't want to. What's most important for me is that I don't want to be known as a drug dealer. You know, I want to be known as something else. I want to be known for what I'm doing now. I want my parents to finally be proud of me. You know, my friends to finally be proud of me. I want them to really know everything about me. That's the reason why I'm an open book. Like, you know what I mean? It's in my conversation, in my life, and in my journey, there's a lot of questions, a lot of unanswered questions, you know, that I'm all open for, you know what I mean, the answer. You know what I mean? Like, you know, even in jail or on the streets, or, you know, did I do what I did, or did I not do it? You know what I mean? Like, you know, but at the end of the day, I'm open for anything. Like, the conversation, I'm not fearful for no conversation, because I know the man that I am.
Can I say this?
Again, I don't want to take nothing to my grave. I want everybody to know who I was while I was here.
Can I say this? Would you have the ability, every principal in here, is to have him come to your school and talk, you know, to talk to your kids, whether it's a Zoom or even go there. I would sponsor that, because that's the education these kids need.
Sorry, Dan, for interrupting you, though, but I'm more than happy to do that. You know what I mean? I'll come every day to every school, every day, and do what I have to do, you know, and embrace that. That's hands down.
Good.
That's my invitation.
Thank you, Cal. And Thea Davis?
Yep, I'm right. Yep, I'm here.
All right, go ahead.
So, to Calvin first, I want to say thank you to you for, you know, our lies will make us sick. And so in telling your truth, it'll set you free. So I just want to acknowledge you and say thank you for stepping into your story and being vulnerable. I think that message connected to what Alika was talking about in terms of hope is what's woven through your story is powerful. Dame, I want to say to you, I was excited and sad when it ended. I was like, wait, that's it? Because I want to know more of the story. And from a delivery of telling a story, there were pictures and text, Dame, that you were flashing in the middle. I was trying to read those, but they went so quickly. And so from, I guess, a directorial point of view, if you might leave the pictures and the text up a little longer and perhaps put music or voice behind them. But I get that the story has to be 20 minutes and have a beginning, middle, and end. But I wanted to know that. Like, I think there was something about the amount of money, and there were pictures from the 80s, and I wanted to see those, but they went by so quickly.
So, you know, in the street, when you open up the block, you give out samples, you get them open, and then you charge. So we gave you a sample, now you're open, and now I'm gonna give you that work. So my drugs work. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. I think. You're welcome, I think.
Yesterday you was a drunk, today you on drugs.
Yeah. Asia, it's Asia's turn now. Go ahead, Asia.
Yeah, I mean, I think, so I'm a principal in a high school in the South Bronx. And I think one thing that I really want to be able to do is be able to get a message to my boys who are small time street hustlers, right? I don't want them to think that they can grow up to be the next to the biggest drug dealer who's the plug, who happens to know the next, you know, high paying rapper that's going to be out there. I want them to be able to know that, you know, that this shit is not real. You know, I think a lot of what you said in your story, which I appreciated, your honesty, had a lot to do with your connections to people. And so how do you communicate your story to them that doesn't say, if I wasn't the biggest drug dealer at that time, am I connected with Jay-Z? Do I get locked up, and do I happen to go to a halfway house that Akon's brother is in or cousin are in, that allows me to be able to do that? Because what I think when I have conversations with my boys, you know, like if they had to choose between, and I tell them this all the time, most of it I got from my husband, who's also a principal, but like, it's like, I can't compete with the streets. You know, so if they had to choose between coming to school and learning something, or being in the streets making money because they can't, you know, they're not going to get what they want from their parents, then they're going to choose the streets, and I can't compete against that. But how can you use your message to say, like, I don't want you to wait until you're 30 something years old, get your GED, start thinking about college. Let's start thinking about ways right now, because the one-off messages, and I've had that, and I appreciate you saying, like, I'll be there every day, and come to your school every day, because sometimes the one-off messages for these boys, they last as long as
it's happening right there. And then the next minute, their phone goes off and they're leaving school early because they got to cover the corner for somebody. And
Gotcha.
so how can you get your message out that's going to, portray that image too? That it's not all glitz and glam.
Well, let's just say your school, when I say maybe another school for an example, a principal that I used to go to, I forgot the school actually up in the Bronx actually. They had an incident where two rivals got into it with each other. Somebody got killed, and then they wound up robbing the school and taking all the music equipment. And like 8 principals was in a meeting with me, and they came and asked me what to do. And I was like, well, what can I do? I said, first off, I'm not really from the Bronx. I have resources that I can go to that I can try to kind of find some medium on what's going on and try to help with the resolve of the situation. But I hope that y'all don't think that I'm Jesus and I can walk on water. You know what I mean? And that's what they was somewhat kind of expecting of me. But my thing would be is that I would come consistently. When the kids see that you're consistently coming and you're caring about them, then they tend to embrace you a little bit more. And then my first approach would be not to go in there and allow you to be able to tell them that I'm here to change their life, or I'm here to teach them something, or to discipline them, you know what I mean? Because I'm not there to discipline you. When I was 14 years old, I didn't want nobody telling me what to do. So I'm not going to come in here and telling you 14, 15, 16-year-olds and older what to do. All I'm doing is here just to have a conversation with you and to be cool with you. You know what I mean? What is it that you like to do? You like playing basketball? Then why you not out balling? It has to be something that I have to kind of balance out. And once I find out what they like, then I'll balance it out to targeting that in that person particularly. You know what I mean? And then that's where I'll build a relationship and build an understanding with them, because they might not be getting that support at home, or they might not feel like they want to get it from their teacher. You know what I mean? Me coming in as a stranger and the advantage that I have with the successes of the people that I know, then they'll go, oh, Jay? And then I'll give them a little conversation about that. Oh, Dane? Oh, yeah, give them a little bit of conversation about that. Okay. And then I'll intrigue them. But I'll always come back to what it is that I want to know, what it is that they like doing. What do you want to do? Okay, what type of dreams do you have? Oh, I don't dream, man. Hold on now. That's the problem right there. When you did dream, what did you dream about? You know what I'm saying? Let's get back to that. Because if you're not dreaming, then we have a problem at the beginning of this whole conversation if you're the type of person that don't dream at all. And that's where I would come in and have a whole lot of conversation with them, and then the conversation would just grow to whereas, oh, you coming back tomorrow? Yeah, I'll be here tomorrow, and I'll be here the day after and the day after that. Here's my email. Take my email down. Now I'm a big brother. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the uncle that's trying to discipline you. I'm not the other big brother or your real big brother that's really trying to tell you what to do. I'm just trying to school you, bro. I'm trying to school you, young. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be your OG. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that. I'm gonna give you all my mistakes, and I'm gonna give you some of my successes in conversation. And 9 times I usually get them. When I went to Rikers Island, I told the warden and I told the captain, I said, give me your worst inmates. I want your worst inmates in the room with me, and we go from there. They had the riot squad. They had everybody under the sun. And they had 3 groups, and I didn't know which group was the worst ones because all of them was okay with me. Once I had the conversation with them and started talking to them, one young man walked in the room, and I shake everybody's hand that come in the room. One of them didn't want to shake my hand, and he tried to walk by. And then another one said, oh, I don't want to hear this S. You know what I mean? I'm ready to go back to my cell. So once I got introduced, I pointed both of them out the gate. I said, young man, I said, I'm going to come to you right now, and I'm going to shake your hand. If you don't shake my hand, me and you have a problem, because I done shook everybody else's hand in here. And I told the other young man, and I said, you know what? I came to visit you. I crossed this bridge to come visit you when nobody else did. So since you said you don't want to hear this shit, you're going to hear this shit for real. And those were the 2 ones that had more questions in the room than anybody after we started having conversation.
Good looking, Cal. Moody, you up. Moody, Walters, and Anissa Riley next after Walters. Moody, you on?
Yeah, thank you very much, Dennis. Brother Calvin, I really appreciate you, man, and Dame, I appreciate what you're doing here. I'm not a producer. I don't know anything about how the script is looking. I look at it kind of, unfortunately, I have a gift of seeing some things through our students' eyes. And I just, not to say that some of the folks here don't, but I have that gift, and I can see where they're going to look at this. And they gravitate, just like you said, my brother, at 14, no one, you could have went, whoever we looked up to at 14, they could have came to the school and they couldn't tell you to stop going after your goal to be the biggest drug dealer you know. So our kids, I happen to work in an alternative school. So I love that last point that you made. If we are able to turn that group, and I heard some of the other principals tell me about some of the young men who are the roughest in the school. If we have the skill to turn that group around, we would see our whole school soar. Most of our time and attention is paid to those students who are most disruptive because they have their mind set on other things. I've talked to kids. We have to understand what they want. They don't want Brother Calvin's story right now. So Calvin's story right now as a producer or whatever he's doing with Akon, that doesn't resonate with them. They are, the food is in the medicine. The candy that he's providing is, I was the dude Jay-Z looked up to. I had this 25 million. I just remember certain parts of the story. 25 million, that's what I'm resonating with. How you do that, Pam? How you get that 25? Who was your plug? Who's your connect? How you get through and then get caught? That's what they're looking for. They don't want to hear the story about the jail and how he transformed. We, on the other hand, are looking at the transformation. I'm looking at, from their perspective, you came home after doing a bid for Jay, and he asked you, what's up, what you want to do? You mean to tell me he ain't have millions laid out for you in cribs and cars? That's how they're looking at it. Oh, man, Jay is a different type of dude. How you gonna go do the time for him and he ain't take care of you? What you mean, what I need you to do? I told you I was doing trucking. You should have a whole line of trucks for me to run a trucking fleet.
So what's your question?
That's what you should be doing.
Wow.
So what's your question?
If we look at this from and Brother Lay, I don't know your relationship. I heard a lot of stuff that maybe there was some issues, but listen, I'm just being real. If you was my man and I took the bed for you, we both doing dirt, and I take the rap for you and I come home after 15 years and I gotta work anywhere, so it's crazy. But when you came home, you said the loyalty to me is part of the story. You said you started making excuses for him. I do the same. People get me dirty. I'm in there. I hate to say, some of us as principals, we in both worlds. Not everybody here is in both worlds. Some of us are in both worlds. We're street dudes, but we're professionals. We're asking how to put this in the curriculum. Ain't no, for my group, I'm just speaking for me, no curriculum. It's raw. I sit my kids in a room. I bring them in. I talk to them like this every day. Listen, this is a story. Not everyone is going to get it. Not everyone likes the fact that he changed. You might just only like the fact that he was the man. Jay-Z looked up to him. They didn't know him. Y'all might like that. So guess what? You're going to listen to the story because one day, you're going to listen now or listen later. You learn through two ways. You learn through people and pain. God, I believe in God. God sends you people. He sends many messages to you through people. If you don't listen to the people, you will listen to the pain. And that same thing happens. Salute. For my brother Calvin, if I came to you, I don't know who was important. Maybe Muhammad Ali, maybe Malcolm X was the man with you. I don't know. But if I brought them to speak to you at 14, you wasn't trying to hear it. They told me last week that he had a better car than the damn principal. So how can a principal tell him to go to school, get a master's degree, listen to all these freaking white superintendents or whoever tell you how to run your school? So you ain't the man. I've seen the principal superintendent tell you what to do. I don't want to be like you. I want to be the superintendent, but I don't want to go to school. So they are the superintendent.
wherever hood they from, and my brother Cook, and all you brothers and daughters that I really know, I know you can relate. We got dudes in our schools in the hood that's running the hood at a very young age, running the hood. They get people to line up and do whatever they tell them to do. I connect with them. If I want to change my school, I want to change my community. Freak the school. The school is just a part of the community. I'm trying to change the community. The only way I can do that is to get connected to the hood, to whoever's running this. They got a level of respect for me because they know what I'm trying to do for the community. They sat through the people who run in the town all came through my school. But whoever the shooters are, whoever got the plug with the drugs, whoever they are, they came through my school. So I connect with them and I plant seeds as much as I can. They may not grow right away, and some still doing dirt. But the fact that I could come to the hood, they know that's Moody. He's taking care of our little kids, our brothers, our sisters. Yo, he get a free pass. What you mean, Moody? So when we make a relationship like that with our kids, and bringing in brothers like you, and be honest with you, your story is gonna resonate due to the fact that you speak in reality, you speak in truth. You're not trying to force feed nobody to change their life, because when we were that age, nobody could force feed us to change our life.
Exactly.
So that piece resonated with me, and the fact that you were so humble to still make excuses for Jay or whoever, and then Dane was real, because Dane was a screw business, man. He said, yo, I'm gonna be honest with you, I love you, but I don't know what I can do for you, because I'm trying to make $1 billion. So I'm busy. So what do you want? But that's real. But at the same time, I think right now, I'm sorry. You need a hug, man.
Well, can I say this? Can I say this?
Salute, buddy. You on point.
Let me say this.
That's my brother right there.
Let me say this.
I don't want to.
But can I say this real quick?
Everybody short. Wow. So right now, I'm gonna have Walters go, then Riley go, Anisha go after that, and after Anisha, David, you can go after.
But let me just say, can I say one thing though? That's important. Can I say one thing?
No doubt, then.
Okay, the connection with Calvin and I was that he was a gentleman about the things that were bothering him. Like I'm a gentleman, you know. It's just a certain cloth. So if you even notice the story we told, we tried to even be as complimentary to homie as possible. You know what I mean? Because we didn't even really want to talk about him. It was just the fact that the network wanted him. You know? Because then you do have to address all those questions. But also what I liked about him was he never linked on me, ever. You know? He was like, yo, you don't owe me nothing. And I'll be here and we have conversation. Like I ran into him in the airport after not seeing him for 10 years, and we just kicked it like regular homies and was like, what you doing? What I'm doing? And all right, well, let me know, I'll help. You understand? But it's because he's always been a gentleman about things. You know what I mean? But if you press him about certain things, he's going to defend every single thing about his ideals in that moment, you know? Because I had to go through a lot. You know, there's a lot to this story, I can tell you, man.
Hey, Juanita.
Sorry, I was trying to remember my question because my question came back from when listening to Dr. Small speak, and so I guess the former correctional officer, now teacher in me, it has the question of, you know, how do you use your platform to educate the young men and the young women about the realities of jail and prison and how slavery is revenue, and that's what the prison system equates to, where you go into jail, your friends that are on the outside that's been in prison, they paint one reality of jail or the system, where reality is on the other side of that fence or them gates. It's a beast inside there. So how do you educate them on the reality? Like, okay, I know your homeboy came home and he got himself together, or your homeboy came home and he did X amount of bits, but he didn't really tell you the reality of what jail is, and that you are actually, like, once you go in that system, like, they make money off the backs of you going into jail.
Can I just say this real quick? The purpose and the narrative here is that you guys as teachers know Calvin Klein personally now. Y'all are now the people that know Calvin Klein. You're cool with Calvin Klein. That's what the whole purpose of this is so that y'all can teach these kids and say, when Calvin's not there, I spoke to Calvin. You want me to call Calvin? I'll call him right now. Talk that shit to Calvin. You can say, what, Calvin's this, that, and the third? Like, I've been in situations where someone says some slick shit about Calvin, and I get to put him on the phone with him. All right, well, then say it right now. Y'all now have that kind of cool. The whole purpose of this is to give y'all the same power. My thing is making y'all the cool ones. That's the whole thing. So y'all don't have to ask the question. Y'all tell us and we show up. Y'all have access to the source. So that's the whole purpose of this, is for y'all to give us that direction. No, not an ask. We're asking you. How can we help you educate these kids? He's saying, yo, if you got somebody that's a real problem, I'll be his big brother. That's what he's saying. He's saying, I'll give you an ongoing relationship, whoever you care enough about, that you see a future in, then I'll care about him. I'll do that for a living. And what I can say about Calvin is every time we speak, he's with his children. And every time he's excited, you can see that the wealth, all that shit that he had, he wasn't as happy as he is right now when he watches his kid and we talk randomly. Like, I'll call him and be like, oh, yo, hold on, I'm in the park. My daughter's on the swing. And that means it's real. And that's the part we got to show. The reason why I stand next to Calvin is to showcase, if you're going to do something wrong and have accountability, you can still be fresh. It doesn't mean broke. It means fresher. It means you make a movie about it. It means now you buy that Rolls Royce based on the fact you're teaching people. That's the purpose.
I don't never contradict what you're saying, but I'm gonna say this on behalf of the principals. I'm gonna say, how the fuck can you get a little kid that's 15 years old getting money in the streets to look 25 years down the line and see the woes of his ways? That's what they saying.
You gotta show them how. I'm gonna tell you. You gotta show them how to get some money right now.
Exactly. Let me say this, right? And I say not even I say at 15 years old. I say at the age that I was making all the money in the world.
Me too.
What good is a man with money if you don't know what to do with it? And a kid at 15 years old is buying cars, they're buying jewelry, they trying to play out to the lifestyle. You know what I mean? So that was my biggest problem. Not knowing, or not even more. I spent $250,000 in one day in 1990 on Christmas. You know what I'm saying? That's probably the most I spent in one time in my life throughout. But I always say that I never had businesses. My money always went to the streets. I always bought more and more drugs. I always took care of more and more people. And I always gave myself that excuse. But at the end of the day, when you're talking about somebody that's 15 years old, I understand that. They want the big cars. They want everything else, though. But that money just going to come and go. Because as soon as they get locked up, a lawyer's going to take every bit of it.
Calvin, let me tell you how I'm changing the narrative. This is how I'm changing the narrative. Remember I used to give Rockefeller chains out? Every principal will get a chain. You know, we'll get a jacket. We just got to move y'all have drug dealer swag. I can't even believe y'all principals. This is bugging me out. Y'all niggas, y'all sound like y'all just came home. I promise you. I'm like, this nigga, where are these principals? The girls, they dancing, they talking about, it's like, it doesn't look like, y'all don't sound like principals traditional. So this is the answer. Like, these problems that you had before and these frustrations, they don't exist anymore. Because before, you didn't have a person with a network that wanted to empower the right people. They want puppets. They want actors. They want hollow people to be famous so they have nothing to say. I'm trying to make everybody here the new rapper.
So see, that's why I said that, Dave, because, I mean, me and you have a 30-year relationship, but I know how to charge your battery, but that's why I said it. So
it doesn't. The why doesn't even matter. I'm not offended, and I like your glasses.
Hey, Riley. Hey, Lisa. Go, Riley.
So a couple of things that I was thinking about as you were talking, Calvin Klein, and I just want to echo everyone and thank you for sharing your story and being as open and as transparent as you have been, because most people won't go that deep because, like you said, it brings back memories that people really don't want to even touch upon, but they don't realize that what you go through is for somebody else's healing. So, we have to figure out a way to communicate that the story that you are sharing, because we are a society, a culture that loves stories, that it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? And so there's things that you have to do in order to make sure that you have the stamina to continue the marathon of life. And one of the titles that came to mind was, the journey interrupted by choices, right? So everybody makes choices. You're on this journey, and then your journey got interrupted because you made choices. And at that particular moment, the choice seemed right because of what was going on, and because of what you've been experiencing, and because of what you have been exposed to. And I made that choice. But then you have to realize, once I make this choice, what's the next move? And there's a saying in the world of faith that says, first they love the man, then they love the Bible, then they love the God. So for those of us who aren't familiar with the streets, or haven't been in the streets, or haven't come from the streets, the people that are in the streets first want to see the integrity purpose, right? You real? You about it? You about that life? You know what I'm talking about? And so that's why they love you, to the point where they can listen to what you have to say, and then they can decide to make a choice. Another thing that I saw in your story is friendship, because you kept your word. You was a man of integrity. You did what you needed to do. So that's important in the streets, and that's important with our kids. If you real, you really about integrity, because there's no way if you was some nigga that when you came home would everybody be willing to help you and want to be there to support you. So although you made those choices, your core values was still about being true and integral, and as Dave said, called you a gentleman. That's why the universe still blessed you in that way. So understand this. So kids need to understand that although they're making these choices, right? Because one thing I tell my daughters, there's always the goal. Some people go from straight from A to B, right? Some people do A, D, C, B to F, right? And then there's people that do like this swirly thing to get to the goal. Right? So although you may have done this swirly thing to get to the goal, Calvin, it was still in you, and you were able to tap into it. And so it's just about how, when you do this story and you communicate, because it's hard for me to even give any more feedback because we haven't seen the other 5 parts to it, because the other 5 parts may answer a lot of questions that we're having. But what I do want to say
this is going to dictate the other 5 parts.
Those of us who aren't exposed, who don't really know the grit and the grind that happens, and this is real talk. And the other thing is those who are in that life opportunity, because whether you are a female or a male that have been living that life, you can always make a different choice. Whether you're 14, 15, 51, or 61, just make a choice. Make a choice. That's what I need to add, and that I saw out of that. And hopefully that it is communicated throughout the continuous types of the next 5 parts of it. And I also want to say, when you speak from the heart, you say a whole lot that can be grasped on, we hold on to real tight, so you can hear it and you want to just grab it. And so thank you for speaking from the heart.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Anisha, go. Anisha, David, Kioki, and then City. Go ahead, Anisha.
Okay, hi. One of the things I just wanted to highlight, I love music. I played the saxophone. I was in a marching band. My favorite artist is Earth, Wind & Fire. And I say that because I think having the conversation with the band was so hot, because music is part of our spirit. When we are during slave times, having that concert, that song, I think is key. So I just want to acknowledge that piece. My question, Dennis, can I share my screen?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Because I think I'm really inspired, and I think I would love to just share, so what I've been thinking about, I just started a Google Doc, and I just started the Calvin Klein, and I just thought some pre-questions. Do you dream, and what do you dream about? And are we able to turn that group, clearly I just typed that. But what good money is, and just thinking about money, and I think that would be a nice stock market connection. But listening to connect, and I think that's one of the things I get as a theme. We listen to connect and then building those relationships. So I'm not going to go through all the stuff, but I just have to tell you the essential focus. I just wrote this message, but 3 key literary connections. I thought of Langston Hughes in your story, A Dream Deferred. And I was like, what happens to a dream deferred? Then I thought about the book, and when I discover who I am, I'll be free.
Awesome.
And then connecting to your story and your plight, you are that character. So it took me to Shakespeare. It took me to all the different things that we all have these opportunities. But MLK was in prison, right? And he wrote from Birmingham, and he said, freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. So thinking about the power of the story and just having the music and the climax, think about vocabulary, riding shotgun, OT, pause, over-incarcerating myself. I have to tell you, I did go to Hampton. I grew up in Queens. But when Noriega had that song, I'm OT, Virginia, that was my song, because I wasn't going OT, but I was OT, but for purpose, right? So when those certain songs, I know the risk, I know I might not be having those certain risks, but I know I was speeding through Delaware, and I know I could get caught, right? So still the songs, the power of the message of the music, I think is definitely something to highlight. So I just sent this to Dennis. It's just having the character development that a number of our colleagues said, the connections to literary work, and just thinking and highlighting the change and what coherence looks like, looking at significant events, getting locked up in 91. Well, what was happening in your community in 91? What was happening in the senators? Like, who was in those seats? Right? Who was sitting there passing what bills? Why was that sitting situation? I'm looking right now in Cambridge Heights. I'm looking at this whole building being built. What's going to happen to my community, right? So we can look at that, look at the JFK development that's happening right now. Billions of dollars being pumped in the system, but I can't get fresh food from where I live right now. That's a problem, right? So then just looking at the movie rubric, thinking about if you want to take this game to another level and have a rubric, or to your Calvin Klein, if you want to have something to have, when you do a talk, here's a rubric, right? Knowledge and understanding, thinking and inquiry, communication, application, and that's a big piece. So when we talk about meeting with senators, what is those lobby questions, right? So you only get 5 minutes with someone in your face. What's your message? Or Supreme Court, 30 minutes. You got to say what you're trying to say in 30 minutes. 1, having wraparound services, mentor programs, permission to feel, conversational intelligence, and rules and next steps for engagement. I didn't finish that piece, but I think those are just some real clear takeaways that I got from watching that, and I'm inspired to really think about what those next steps look like.
I want to give a standing ovation. That was a standing ovation. That was a standing ovation for that one right there. Standing ovation. That was great. That was full on.
He is available to come to LA tomorrow for conversation.
Well,
let me find out that you got charged just as our conversation earlier.
I'm just gonna pass those notes to the editor. I'm be like,
you let me in, I'm going in, all I need.
I have no excuses now. I got to step it up. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
And so
let's go.
I'm excited. So what we're gonna do, I got a couple more people gonna go, but what Anisha's sending me, and then I'm also going to ask everybody that's in the room to kind of give me like a 60 to 90 second, video of their review of it, and then I'm gonna send it all to you like that in a couple of days, if you don't mind.
Incredible.
I would like to give everybody my information as well before we get off, though. You know what I mean? Because I want everybody to be direct as possible with me, as well as Dane. But wow, that just blew me away just now.
No doubt. Hey, David, try to follow that, David. Follow that, David.
I don't know if I can follow that. But yo, I want to say this. Y'all know him as Calvin Baycoat. I'm from where Calvin is from. Calvin was the dude I was looking up to when I was 14, 13. I was that kid that wanted to be like Klein. I didn't want to be like Calvin. I wanted to be like Klein. And I'm from Red Hook. I'm proud to say I'm from Brooklyn.
Wow.
And Klein is the reason why Red Hook has that name. So wherever I go, when I move around, when I say I'm from Brooklyn and they say Brooklyn word, and I say Red Hook, they say Red Hook, and I go, yeah, Red Hook, the old Red Hook though. I don't say the new Red Hook, I say the old Red Hook. But I wanted to say that Calvin he's a different dude now. Like, he's not that dude that was out there doing things, this guy is just incredible, man. Like, I read his book. As I was moving up, I'm going to say this because I didn't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. I'm a correction officer right now. And Calvin Klein is the reason why I'm a correction officer, because I didn't want to do that. And he told me, I was doing music. And I was like, yo, Klein, man, I'm getting ready to do this thing. And he was like, man, you better go over there and get yourself together. And I was like, yeah, but, it's the streets. And he was like, go out there and do what you're supposed to do. And from then on, I became a minister in the church. I became a filmmaker. I became a musician. And a lot of that, I wanted to put that out there to you guys, to you principals, and to Dane. Thank you, Dane. Calvin is really a pure gentleman, man. He's not this monster that everybody be thinking he is, man. And I wanted to get on here and I wanted to say it because I'm a product. I'm a product of what he pushed. He did his street thing. He did what he had to do out there when he had to do it. But I'm gonna be 45 years old, man, next week, God willing. And Klein is one of them guys. Like, he's just, I looked up to him. I aspired to be like him, and I feel like we got the same traits. If I never would have went the other way, I would have been the next Klein. And Moody got me charged. That's why I wanted to say something, because Principal Moody, he had me going crazy, and I'm like, yo, that's me. I went through the system. I went through alternative school. I went through all of that, 600 schools, and I wanted to be that dude. I wanted to be that dude that'll body you in a second if I had to. And at the truth of it, it just saved me from all that turmoil. And of course, God's hand. But I didn't know when I was 16 that I was going to be sitting here on a Zoom with Dame Dash and all these esteemed people and Calvin Baycoat. I didn't know that. So God had a plan. And I just wanted to say to you guys that this dude, Calvin Baycoat, that's right here right now, it was a question that someone said that, what can he say to a 15-year-old that don't want to hear that? What can he say to a 15-year-old that's trying to get back up on the streets? All I'm going to say is people aren't impressed by what they see. Right now, they're looking at this kid 6'9" that just came home that's supposed to be the biggest thing in Brooklyn right now. They're looking at that right now. I'm dealing with that in the correctional system. I'm dealing with that with who's supposed to be the next biggest street dude and how the jails is going to rise after that dude come in. And who's the snitch and who's this and who's that. Calvin turns the diameter around with all of that because he's the one that inspired the top billionaire in America, which is Jay-Z. He inspired that, and I could have been the next one. So that's what I wanted to get up here and say, because I know it's impressionable for a 15-year-old to see somebody like a Calvin that don't want to hear that. I didn't want to hear that. My big brother Calvin, I love you, man. And please, man, please keep on inspiring and doing things. Even if this don't happen, please keep doing what you're doing, brother. Please keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, David.
Of course.
Yeah. Yo, Keoki, if you in the room,
Wow.
and then Smitty.
That's the inspiration, man. That's everything is so inspiring, man. It's crazy, man. Like I never thought that my reward after all this would be life for one, and the second one would be doing something that I can appreciate doing and people be proud of me doing, man. I never saw this coming in a million years.
I understand that.
So,
Wow.
I'm on.
It's all right, Calvin.
Oh, we got you.
Yeah.
Let it out.
Oh.
Thank you.
It's all right.
Well, we shining the light on you. We're shining the light on you.
Shine a light on him.
Hey,
Calvin, it's all right.
The whole team, yo, it's beautiful, man. It's a beautiful thing you're doing, man. Keep doing it.
Yes.
Love you, man. Thank you so much. Thank God. This is my
Go ahead, Keoki. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you. First of all, I just wanted to say to everyone, first of all, I'm filled. I am filled. Trying to gather my words to say because everyone was dropping so many jewels and I felt it. I loved watching the movie. Took me back to the 80s. I wasn't the man, but I was the girlfriend of the man.
Real talk.
in my neighborhood. So what I got out of it were a couple of things. First, let me just say to Anissa, oh my God, I loved how your feedback, the Google form. I love working with people who are just on it like that. So kudos to Anissa. Yes. Oh my God, that was wonderful. Moody as well. I wanted to just give you an offering. That was amazing. But the movie for me, what I got out of it was reputation. And someone spoke on it earlier, how, it's not just what you say, but the things that you do, I think gave you credibility. In meeting with the kids and even their parents, I think your background story and even coming out of it is going to give you that credibility from the rip. I also got out of it mentorship, the fact that you made a relationship and had a mentorship with Damon and Jay and Akon, and just the importance of mentorship for our students as well. Also, the fact that you said when you were you were studying your craft, you were reading. I thought that was also important. We use the term in our school too, preparation plus opportunity equals a blessing. So how you prepare yourself, even when things are, not going your way, and then when opportunities come about, then you can walk into them. So I thought that was a good point there. Also, the fact that you rebounded, right? So all the time we talk to our kids about, being able to bounce back from the things that they're going through. Everybody's not going to have a super perfect life, but just bouncing back from some of the things that the trauma, or even some trauma that you inflicted, that you said. The other thing I wanted to point out, I think what I try to use with my kids is, the power of having both sides of your education. We call it sidewalk university, right? So sidewalk university plus your traditional education. Some of the smartest people that I know never went to school. You know what I mean? They never went to school. And even our kids in school who, have that intuition, business mind, they can size you up. They tell me from the first day, I tell my teachers, your observation happened the first day. I get the feedback from the kids in the lunchroom, if you're going to make it or not. It wasn't me. The kids that tell me whether you're going to make it or not. So our kids are very intuitive. So I think that's another thing, not discrediting the fact that all your education from, being in the world, being a hustler, and how that transformed and probably gave you some real insight to, transferable skills to what you're doing now.
So I think that was amazing.
But let me say this real quick while you're speaking, though. I was growing up. I was an avid reader. You know what I'm saying? As a kid in public school and things of that nature. But my behavioral problem was my issue. I was in special ed from junior high school all the way up until high school. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I did nothing for school, but it seemed like when it was time for me to take a test, it was just there. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't have to study or anything like that. And that was my way of passing. I can't even answer it to the day though, but I didn't finish school. It took me a long time to get my GED until I took it serious in my 30s.
I think it's back to what Dame said. I think the last time we were together too, you know, it's different forms of education, right? So, you know, you being able to transform or being able to read or being able to hear what the teacher is saying. And sometimes even in our classes, we got kids who don't turn in a lick of homework. But they can be in class and they can, you know, tell you from the top what's going on. So I think, you know, that part of the story and that part of what you're going through is going to be transferable, and kids are going to connect to it. Just going back to some of the feedback that the other people were talking about. You just got to make that connection. And if this is part one and it's moving on to the next part, how did you pull yourself up? For me, it was surrounding myself around people that were doing it, right? Being under other mentors and having teachers say to me, you know what? Because sometimes you don't get to see the fruit of what you're planting, right? So, you know, we don't always get to see it, but we keep planting it, we keep planting it, we keep planting it. We keep talking to our kids about it. And then they come back and they tell us, you know what you said, you're like, I said that. So I think we just keep at it that way. And the last thing that I'm going to say, because I got so many notes here, but like I said, I was really filled today, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Is that you continue to speak your truth. My mother used to always say the truth needs no defense. So you just keep speaking your truth and it's going to resonate with the people that it's meant for. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much as well.
Thank you. Hey, Smitty, your turn. You gonna round this out for us, Smith?
What's up, everybody?
How you doing?
Good, man. Just an incredible presentation with that documentary. And I mean, I grew up in East New York, and even back then, I heard Klein's name, and I never even met the man in person. You know. And one of the things that stood out just from that is, you know, that saying, real recognize real. For me, that's just about living your truth, whatever that is. So the fact that even when he came out and was at the halfway house, the whole connection with Akon was because who he was, whatever his truth was at that time, stood out, right? Moving forward to that, you know, I kept hearing the question, how do we teach? How do we get this message? It's like Dame said, this platform here was created for us to have the real talk about things that are important to us in our community and rewriting the narrative. And so we can take this platform to figure out how to give Klein the platform to talk to our kids, which is, and him just talk. Like he said, he's not going to go in there and try to tell a kid what to do, how to do it. I'm sharing my story. I'm talking to him because I care. And there's no such thing as coincidence, right? So with everything that Klein has done that landed you in there, that was like the balance to say, done enough destruction, pause. Now he's out and breathing life. You know? So I just think that's one thing, and I know about the context and everything, and that's gonna show add more parts to it. But I think the context is more for us and more for the, I guess, people out there who we need to show them a different message. But for the kids and getting that message to them, we just gotta let the people that they think is cool speak to them in their language, on their level, to get it across in an authentic manner. So,
exactly.
You know, I don't want to just ramble on. I just want to share that part right there.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yes,
I want to also say this too, though, right? Again, I say I'm available. I'll make myself available. I'm here for the cause. I'm here for every purpose of just bettering, the youth. I have 4 daughters, and my thing is that I never want to have any of my children come in with a young man and I ask him his name and he tell me his name is Calvin Klein. That's what I fight against, every day. So at this point, even if you have anything to help me help you with, I'm all in. You know what I mean? Like if y'all have classes with the students and y'all want me to, if y'all have Zoom classes or whatever video classes and you want me to come in and speak for a few minutes or say whatever it is that I have to say, I'm all for that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like use me for all that I'm worth. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what value I am to you. No so all I can do is just provide myself as a service and hope that, that you see what I see in myself. No and that's change. And that's the what I have in my heart, because I'm not out here. I'm too old to play games, and how much life left I have, I want to be able to service it to the best of my ability.
Hey, Calvin, I got one more principal who had something. Tivia, you in the room?
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead.
How you doing?
So I just want to say, Calvin, I'm so inspired by your story. Dane, thank you for this opportunity and this platform. Dennis, you are amazing. I met you last year and everything happens for a reason. And I say that to say, I've been a principal of 2 schools in Brooklyn, born in Brooklyn, representing Brooklyn, New York. And I just transferred to a school in South Jamaica, Catherine and Count Basie, which has a very poor reputation. And I say all of this to say, I've been on both ends. I was a correction officer. I left teaching, started teaching in Harlem, left teaching, became a correction officer, was placed in OBCC, the worst jail on Rikers Island we know. And one of my students came through that jail. And I said, this is not the place for me. I need to get back into education. Went back into education. 4 years later was promoted assistant principal. 3 years later promoted a principal, and then have turned 2 schools around and about to turn a 3rd one around. The last 2 weeks I've been engaged in working on a magnet grant, which is going to give me an opportunity to have a theme that will give my students a platform. And the theme that I chose was digital media and performing arts. I want my students to be able to tell their story. So just sitting here listening to you and having Dame Dash, one of the most biggest music producers who now going into movies, on this platform, I know that my theme was right on point when I decided to do digital media and performing arts. So I thank you. Listen to Anisha just break everything down, just gave me even more light on how I have to strengthen the summary of what I'm putting into this magnet grant to ensure that I get it. $2.5 million over the next 5 years in a New York City Department of Education school is a lot of money. Bringing you in for that platform that I'm going to create when I receive that grant says a lot. Having Dame Dash maybe come through as well will speak value to what will happen to that school community. And me being the principal will be changing the narrative for so many children in South Jamaica. So again, I thank you all for this platform and really giving us the opportunity to be and be part of your story.
Thank you.
Thank you as well. Thank you so much as well.
No, I got someone from South Carolina. Jamie, you in the room?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, she is from South Carolina.
So listen, I'm usually the quiet one. I sit back and I take everything in, but I feel like walking or leaving this Zoom without saying something would just be a disservice. So I feel like I have to acknowledge just the generosity of just the volunteerism in the room. I'm blown away. I'm impressed and I'm grateful just to be a part of the conversation. You know, we all in education have learned about multiple intelligence and how there's so many ways to define intelligence. And, you know, it becomes frustrating in education not to see our brown babies sometimes being defined as the intelligent people we know they are, but just to sit in this room and hear the creativity from so many lenses we all have a different level of of intelligence that's being displayed here. From the linguistics, from the artistic, from the vocal, just from every angle, I'm impressed. There's a phrase that I always work with in the positions I've been in. I'm currently the assistant principal at the elementary school with Constance, who's on this call, who makes sure I'm involved in everything that happens. So thank you, Constance, for always keeping me in the loop. And Dennis, who's the first person who really called her out. You sold me the first day you met us because you were able to call her out on things that I didn't feel like anybody else knew. So I was sold from that time, and I think one of the gifts you have, Dennis, is recognizing the gifts in other people. And so for you to pull all of us together, with Damien on this call and with Calvin and all of these principals who are enlightening me in every moment that I sit on this call, I'm grateful. I was born into all of these stories that you guys talk about. Mom who tried to hold us together, and long story short, he is no longer on drugs, 20 plus years clean. So I'm just saying that, we cannot judge a book by its cover, and listening to all of you, it's just a reminder. But the MORE, which is an acronym for teen, and together there's so much to be accomplished here, and I look forward to the opportunity to support. And I just want to again thank everybody for not counting it robbery to participate and to share, because we need each other to be successful. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you as well.
Thank you. Well, hey, Calvin. Listen, brother, I don't know what you expected. I hope this was even more than what you expected. I hope that you was fed as much as we were fed. And, at this point, we really want to, leave you with the last word, about this experience for you, and, what we can do next to continue to help you to move your legacy forward.
Yes. Well, I want to first and foremost say thank God for Jesus for all you guys. This is far more than what I expected. Far more than what I expected. I'm humble to it. Trust me and believe I'm humble to it. Just to be as strong as I can be with a team that's going to help me get the message out and to educate the young kids and, just do my part. That's all I want to do. I'm indebted to society to do my part. And all I'm asking you guys is to help me do my part. I don't know everything. I don't know how to put grants together.
We got somebody to help you with that, Cal.
Yes, like I said, I would just like to have you guys have direct contact with me to be able to have my information, which I'm sure you'll give it to them.
Yeah,
and I'm all in. I'm all in. Again, I appreciate everything.
Calvin, man, it's funny because I watched the OG. I watched it last week, and watching it a second time, I had a completely different perspective on it, because the first time I did it, I watched it for entertainment. When I watched it today, I learned something, and again, I learned, and I looked through a lens of a man, and a true man in every aspect of the word. I think Anissa spoke stand up dude from the gate. Like, that's important to me. And as I said, people look at things, for a lot of times we watch videos and watch movies and stuff like that to be entertained. But I can tell you for a fact that this time that I saw it, and being able to talk to you and communicate with you about it, it just makes it that much more powerful what you did, brother. And I can't tell you how happy I am to have hosted something like this, because I know everybody on this platform was blessed by what you did. So, me, you, Dave, Lays, we got some talking to do. But anything that we can do to help you moving forward, brother, you got it. You got a family in New York, you got a family in New Jersey, you got family in South Carolina, you got family everybody in this room right now, if there's anything you ever needed from us, where else we from? Anybody else that I missed? New York, New Jersey, South Carolina? I know we usually have a lot of people from all over the country, but if you need us for anything, Cal, I promise you, you'll get your answer within 24 hours if there's anything you need from us.
Wow, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. I'm humble to that. Wow. This is, to be honest with you, this is. I've been stagnant for a while. I'll be honest with you. I've been stagnant for a minute, just trying to figure out what I can do. Even prior to coming into the quarantine, you know, just trying to figure out where I fit in. You know what I mean? And like I said, like being able to go to schools and not have no one as a grant writer to be able to help me with the grants and stuff like that was really kind of like holding me back for a very, very long time. And a lot of times when you're bonded by the State Department of Education, like, you know, y'all principals know, especially here in New York, you have to have at least about 3 or 4 principals, I believe, that's supporting you and backing you. You know, I believe now, you know, I have that, you know, or I can get that now. You know, but
you right, you got that.
Thank you. You know, it's just not really like just trying to figure it out, man. That's what I'm trying to. I'm just trying to figure it out too at the same time as I grow.
But and listen, man. Again, this ain't a one and done for us. You know what I'm saying? If you say, yo, D, you grab the principles again for me, yo, we gonna do it again. So it's not about, yo, this is the one time, and you know, we gonna talk to Calvin and that's it. We hoping that if you say next week, yo, I got another idea, you think you can grab the principal together, listen, it ain't nothing but a text from them. And I'm telling you right now, almost everybody in this room, within 2 minutes of me texting them, texted back and said they was gonna be here.
Wow.
That type of people that we got here. Within seconds, they were hitting me back, I will be there. It's a Friday, man. It's a Friday, and they here with us for 2 hours and 15 minutes already. So you just gotta know the quality of people in this room, man. Ain't no duds in here, none.
I feel that. I feel the energy, man. I wouldn't have gotten as emotional as I did if I didn't feel it. You know what I mean? So trust me. You know, gangsters cry too. You know.
Well, listen, they gangsters up in here too, man. Hey, Dame, you in here?
I'm right here.
All right, Dame, man, holla at us, man. Tell us something.
Well, you know. I definitely knew that there would be some intelligent talk, and every time I talk to y'all, there's a lot of ideas. But again, you know, having y'all there, it makes it where there's accountability. You know what I mean? And I like that. I like accountability. I think it's important. And you know, I just think there's a lot of power in the room. I'm gonna keep saying it, but I just want y'all to keep notice how I keep walking it like I talk it. Not to put it about me, but I'm about that action. And you know, we're here, so challenging us. You know, we say we're gonna do something, we do it. You know, that's the pride that we have. So when we say we wanna help, we wanna help. And my thing is to make everyone in here famous. Everyone in here should be a celebrity. When they get back to school, they should sign autographs. And I think when you have that voice, when you say smart things, that's the influence we need. The influencers to be intelligent and to love others before themselves, which is clear that that's why y'all here. And that's what I need. And also, it's good to talk to smart people. You know, I live in a world where people.
Can I ask you a question? Do I get my email? Could I get my email and my information out now, or do you get that?
I'll get it all. We'll switch. We'll get it. I'll give it to me, and I'll give it to him, and he'll distribute it. We'll be good.
Okay, great.
I got you.
I need to holler at Anissa if I'm saying her name correctly. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I need to holler at everybody. Trust me, though. But that right there just blew me away. You know what I mean? She's way ahead of me with all that, dude. I got to catch up with that.
Yeah, so what we're gonna do, Calvin, as I said, I'm gonna ask everybody who's here if you could just text me a 60 to 90 second video that I can upload into Google Drive or whatever, and then send it over to Calvin, you know, just in case you missed something. That'd be more appreciated than anything, you know. So
and me too, I need it too.
Put the face with the words, and I think, you know, it'll forever be etched in his brain as somebody, as you know, some people here who generally cared about him enough to basically give up almost 2.5 hours of their day to bless him. He thought he was coming to bless us, yo. He thought he was coming to bless us, and look at him.
Yes. I'm full. I'm full.
He's gonna go to sleep after this one. So
wow.
I want to thank Dane for doing this. I want to thank Calvin. Yo, you are amazing, brother. We love you. We love you.
I got to love every one of you.
You are a part of the family now, and anything that we could do to support you moving forward, you got it. You know what I'm saying? Ain't too often you gonna find dope ass principals like this in the room talking that talk and understanding what's up. So we got you, and if there's anything that you need, bro, just say it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all. Thank y'all, principals, for coming. Have a great weekend, and don't forget, Happy Mother's Day to all of us.
Right.
Happy Mother's Day. Stay safe, guys.
All right, y'all. That was heavy.
All right. Mother's Day, ladies.
So from one Zoom to another, all productive, all about evolution, all about moving forward, being productive while we in the motherfucking pandemic. I'm able to talk to more people because they're focused. And this is the time to make some change. Whoever's sitting around talking some stupid shit, just get the fuck off my live. But if you're about evolving and helping, then stay. If you're insecure about the fact that you're not doing nothing, you should be, but you should try to help yourself. Learn from this, So I got more work to do. My grind doesn't stop. It's Friday. I got shit to do, and I'm having fun doing it. And again, everything I'm doing is about us focusing on being better, period. And big shout out to everyone that just was on there, all those principals, Lays, Dennis, everybody. They killed it. I'll holler back. And, love is love. Holla.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.